Does he have a secret OnlyFans? No matter how you kind of slice or dice it, girl, you gotta run. So I'm gonna wait in the friend zone until there's an opportunity to strike. What do you mean you go on a fancy trip and you leave your wife at home? Hey guys, I'm V and welcome to today's Reddit Reads. Now, joining me is M behind the screen, my fiance. Some of you guys call him Mr. Deep Voice. You'll hear him chime in time to time. And also, I don't know if you guys can see, but if you're looking at the video, then Beanie, my cat sitting in with me, she kind of wheezes in the background. So I'm not sure if the mic is going to pick up on that. And I'm counting today as we are starting off with this, a nice little small win because I've been trying to convince M, my fiance, that the tree should stay up at least until February, a little while longer. Because I don't know, I'm still in the festive mood, guys. But what do you think? Too long? Is the tree staying up too long? You'll need to let me know. Now, today's topic is friendship. Our theme is it friendship or is it friend sync? Which one will it be? Making friends, it's easy, but maintaining a happy and good, sustainable friendship, it can be hard. I mean, sometimes there's unspoken rules. Now, let's dive into our first story with OP. Oh, and if this is your first time tuning in, OP is just what we call original poster, the person who posted the story. Let's get into story one. Our first story is from the subreddit, Am I the A-hole? Would I be the a-hole if I don't include my wife on a trip I planned for my friend? I, 30-year-old male, have been friends with A, 29-year-old female, since we were 15, 16 years old. When we were still teenagers, A picked up smoking from her friends. She didn't do it much, and she said she knew the risk and wanted to stop. As encouragement to get her to quit, I made a deal with her. We both share a love of cars and motorsports, so the deal was that if she never picked up a cigarette again, I would fly us out to and get grandstand tickets for her favorite F1 race. Obviously, once we were older and not broke teenagers. Admittedly, 16-year-old me did not take into account all the costs into consideration, but I still wanted to uphold my end of the deal. A and I have always had a sibling-like relationship, and my wife knows that. Nothing has ever happened between us, and A even helped to set me up with my now wife, 30-year-old female, and was a groomswoman at the wedding. This year, the time finally came when I had the money, time, and circumstances for this trip. My wife has always known about this deal I've had with A since we met 9 years ago. She's never had a problem with it and even found it wholesome, in her words. Her and A have a good relationship. They aren't best friends or anything, but they get along quite well. Anyway, in September, I booked the tickets to the race as well as flights, and the trip is going to be around A's birthday next year. I had always thought that it was known that the trip was going to be just me and A, as per the deal we made ages ago. And when I was booking the tickets in September, I mentioned this and my wife had zero problems with it. All right, I'm going to share some initial thoughts. I think this is one of those things where it depends on the couple, what the rules are or the boundaries are when it comes to trips. Personally, it's almost like, I don't want to say attached at the hip, but I know for my relationship, at least me and M, I feel like if one of us is going somewhere, especially on like a big trip or something that's, I don't know, fun, a longer term-ish commitment, like it's not like a day trip with friends, it's more like multiple nights or something like that, we kind of automatically assume the other person's going to tag along. Or at least we'll offer, right? We'll say something like, hey, do you want to come? I really want to go on this, like, I don't know, winter trip weekend or something. So to me, it does feel like a no-brainer. Like, yeah, obviously invite your partner, right? But I will also say that some people I know do take solo trips. Now, I'm not sure though if it matters in this case that OP's a dude, the husband, OP's a husband. And then the friend that he's trying to book this whole trip for though is a woman. Granted, they've been friends since forever. And OP basically says, there's nothing weird between us. And that's fine too, right? But even then, I wonder if it matters to the wife or it may come up as a issue that, hey, I would assume that I'm invited too. Maybe the wife thinks that. But let's talk about the motorsports. Okay, guys, recently I watched the documentary on Netflix. I think it's called Senna, and it's about the race car driver. What is it? Wait, let me try and pronounce his name. Ayrton Senna. I think I got it right. But it's basically this really, really top-notch driver. It's basically about his life and how he got into driving and all that stuff. And as a girly who has never gotten interested into anything car, anything motorsports, I found it really good. So I have to admit, I'm when I saw the story, I was like, oh, you know what? I know what F1 is now. I know what that is, kind of. Like, I know it's a pretty prestigious competition, and to get into the F1 is like a pretty big deal. So that's part of why I chose this story. Um, I have to admit, I am also wanting to put it on my bucket list of one day attending an F1 competition because it sounds pretty exciting. So I'm really glad and really surprised that OP made this commitment when he was in his teens, and they're so expensive, guys. And now he's upholding it well into now that he's 30, his BFF, his bestie is 29, and he's sticking with it and he's actually doing it. So good on you, OP, for upholding the deal. He does say that his wife has no problems with, I guess, him booking this trip and doing this whole trip. So let's see where the issues lie. OP says, then a couple of days ago, my wife mentions how she's so excited for the trip, and I gently let her know that I've only booked 2 tickets for the race and flights. She was upset about this, and I was really confused because I thought I made it clear that this trip was for A, and it would just be us two. She asked me if I could add another ticket to the race, but it's all sold out, so I can't really. And then she asked if I could add another plane ticket anyway, and I'm not inclined to do that and I know this sounds childish, but this was a me and A thing since we made the deal. My wife has seemed really upset about this and is barely talking to me. And the one time we've seen A since then, she was very cold towards her. I don't know if she doesn't trust me or if it's because of some insecurity. Would I be the a-hole if I don't include my wife? Okay, maybe I am in the minority for this, but yeah. You're trying to go to a amazing weekend trip, F1 to see like the top racers duke it out, and wifey is not invited? Hello? I mean, I'm not even concerned about the bestie. Like, I honestly don't think this is an issue of insecurity at all. As OP says, bestie got you and wifey together. And you've talked about it. Wife has long known about the trip. It doesn't seem like the issue she has is with you going with the bestie. The issue she has is no invite. What are you thinking, OP? Okay, babe. If you were going to F1, you're going to see, what is it? Who's the top racer guy right now? What are some names? Schumacher? Is that one? Does he still race?
No, it's been over a decade.
Who's a current racer that's good? Do we know any? Do you know any?
I haven't been following, but I know a few.
Alain Prost? Is he out of date too?
Yes.
Oh man.
For example, I'm not sure if they're still currently racing, but Verstappen or Hamilton. There's some more recent ones that are pretty good.
See, this is a side note, but I'm starting to think in order to be a top racer, you need to have a top racer name. Like all these racer names sound so cool and sleek. Like Prost, Schumacher. What was the one you just said?
Say Hamilton?
Hamilton. Like it sounds like, I don't know, I can picture a car. Like Hamilton sounds like a sturdy vehicle for some weird reason to me. The car probably looks, very sleek and fast. And
that's a person's name, by the way, not the car.
Oh, no, I know. But I'm saying the name itself makes me picture a car for some weird reason. Like, oh, I drive the Hamilton or something like that. Like, see? It has like aura to it. So, I mean, if you had tickets, regardless of whoever is currently the top racer nowadays, right? And you were booking a tour, or even if I was booking a ticket, wouldn't you assume that you're invited?
I mean, that you would be or I would be invited?
Well, if either of us had tickets, would you automatically assume that either I would invite you or would you even think to invite me?
I would definitely extend an invitation, and whether you choose to
wait.
go or not.
So you're saying you would go even if I said no? Like I'm not going?
I mean, for something like this where it was established and it was known, yeah, for example, let's switch to F1 with, let's say, I don't know, fishing or something.
Ew.
Yeah, going out on the boat to fish for a day. I mean, I would invite you, but to be honest,
that's true.
If you
really
necessarily
want to
be
go,
going,
whatever.
right?
Yeah.
So I think it would be something similar.
I agree. if you had tickets to F1 is if I had tickets, front row seat or whatever, the best seat tickets to a Taylor Swift concert. I feel like that would be the equivalent. And I would have the same mentality. Like, you don't have to not go just because I'm not going, of course. But I would want the invite at least.
Yeah, but I guess going back to the story, I think what bothers me a little bit is when I guess the wife asked
Mhm.
whether OP would get the plane tickets just to come with and not necessarily
Yeah.
go to F1 race itself.
Yeah.
OP was, well, I guess he basically said, well, no, it's just for A and me only. And I think I, that's what kind of is bugging me.
That bugs me too. Because, okay, I get that even if, wife is saying she just wants to go, even if she's not going to actually be at the race. Am I weird? But why can't she just hang out at the hotel? Or if she wants to explore the surrounding town or wherever the F1 race is, like, why is that a problem? Because obviously she won't even be hanging out with you guys at the race. So I don't feel like it would be an intruding thing at all.
Right.
Right. Although I do know some people are really weird. Like, if they have like a thing or a tradition or something that they do with their friends, some people get weird about including their significant others. And that has never made any sense to me. In my mind, it's like, do you have something to hide? It's because what's the big deal? There obviously is a disconnect because Opie said, "Oh no, wife has always known that this is a me and A thing, me and the besties going." But then all of a sudden now she wants to go. I don't think this is all of a sudden at all. I think probably what happened is she wife probably assumed that she would get an invite too. And then when husband booked it, maybe he said, "Hey, I booked the tickets." And maybe that's how their conversation went. Maybe there's a misunderstanding somewhere.
Yeah, maybe. But at least the way I interpreted the story was that OP asked initially and the wife said no. But
Mm.
later on,
Well,
she
he never
can.
asked her.
Oh, I thought that he did.
Mm-mm. He mentioned like he thought that he made it clear that he bought tickets and stuff, but he never actually invited her.
Right. Okay.
He said that now he's confused because a couple days ago now my wife says she's excited for the trip, and then he said, "Oh, I only booked 2 tickets."
In any case, at least I can see both sides where I guess it just depends on your relationship, I would
Yeah,
say.
but honestly, I do think Opie's the a-hole for not including the wife on the trip because no invite. Which is okay, up to you, I guess. But then even when the wife asks just to be included, like just an additional flight ticket, you say no?
Yeah, yeah.
Ah,
On that regard, I think the OP is an a-hole here.
yeah, kind of weird. Kind of, I want to say behavior is a little bit shady, a little bit odd, but let's see what some of the comments are saying. First comment asking for info. Did you book separate hotel rooms? But yeah, you're the a hole. Oh, okay, fast verdict, but that is a good question. I mean, so okay, I'm not the only one picking up some shady vibes. I'm hoping it's common sense that, yeah, you're going with A, anyone other than your partner, you would typically book separate rooms. I hope? Question mark. In response, there are some comments that asked from Springtime Ambivert. Agree. I doubt the wife ever thought it was possible that she wouldn't be included, so there was no need to clarify that when he clearly laid out the plans. OP referenced making this deal when they were teens before the wife, which doesn't help his case like he may think it does. The existence of a wife understandably wasn't considered then, but it should be considered now. I agree. I think that was very well put. OP responds, yes, of course, we have separate hotel rooms. Okay, good. So that's answered. Another comment from woman in question. Is this the first time you've been able to afford a fancy vacation? If so, I can imagine your wife is hurt that after all this time saving for something fun, you go off with your best friend and leave her at home. Oh, that's also something we didn't consider. So say that I guess depending on whatever OP, your financial circumstances, I think in general, F1 tickets are really, really expensive. I had asked the other day, I had asked him to look it up because I said, you know what? I'd want to go to a race of some sort, even a basic one. But even the normal, not super, super high end, prestigious one, guys, they cost an arm and a leg. They're
Yeah.
like what,
I th-
thousands?
I think the cheapest one I saw, at least I think there was one well, upcoming one in Miami. One of the cheapest ones was like 1,500 or so per
Oh,
one ticket. So yeah, that's not cheap.
it's probably a seat where like I can barely like see. It's all the way in the back or in some corner, like tucked in the back or something. That's how I'm imagining it. Ah, so it's pretty pricey, guys, for some of these tickets. I think I would consider this a fancy vacation, actually. So, Opie, even more so, you're an a-hole. What do you mean you go on a fancy trip and you leave your wife at home? Excuse me? Now, Opie does respond to this. Opie says, no, my wife and I have had other vacations before as well. Okay, still. Why would you not invite your wife? I keep going back and forth on this whole thing. Maybe it's just me, guys. You let me know what you think about this. But one, you should have extended an invite to your wife. And two, when she offered to, it's fine, I'll sit out of the race if you can't get the race tickets. Can I at least also tag along just in general for the trip? You should have said yes. I don't understand what the big deal is because this promise made in the teens, I think the comment hit it right on the nail. You didn't have a wife then to consider, but you have a wife and a partner now to consider. So why not? I don't understand. How would it ruin any of the fun or the tradition? And if your bestie, since your bestie set you up with your wife, I doubt that the best friend A would really be that upset that you want your wife to tag along, right? I mean, I'm just thinking, why not? The more the merrier. My advice to you, OP, is I don't know why you're being so stubborn about this one thing, but yes, like own up to this. Say, sorry, babe, slipped my mind. I had a oopsie moment, didn't invite you. Yeah, sure, come along. Otherwise, it's just weird. Now, this story is pretty new, guys, 17 hours old, so very, very new. My verdict, I'm tapping it down with the gavel. Yes, you're the a-hole. If you need to wonder at this point, yes. What do you think?
I agree.
So that was a swift verdict with our first story. If you guys are interested in hearing more stories like this, I'm excited to hear the next one. So don't forget to like this video and hit subscribe, guys. Our next story is our wild pick story. Now, wild pick is just that, a story that's a little bit kooky, a little bit odd, I'd say. But when I saw it, I thought you guys have to hear it. I hope we have some board game players or board game fans here in the mix. Our second story is also from the subreddit, Am I the A-hole? Am I the A-hole for not interfering during a board game? This New Year's Eve, me, 37-year-old male, and my girlfriend, 30-year-old female, went to another couple's house to play board games and have a few drinks. They invited someone else I'm good friends with, Philip, 38-year-old male, and haven't seen in a few weeks. My girlfriend and I had been spending the day together in a spa, running errands, and getting coffee. Ooh, that sounds like such a nice way to celebrate going to the New Year's. Opie says, anyway, the night gets underway and we're starting our board game. Nobody else but my girlfriend played before, so she explained the rules. The board game was Ticket to Ride and decently complicated to explain, especially to a few drunk adults. The mood was rowdy and a bit childish, but as expected. I could see she was getting frustrated and annoyed with us. So during a smoke break, I said to Philip to turn it down a notch and for us both to be more thoughtful of the situation. Hi, guys. I think the true test of friendship is if you're able to play a co op game or a board game with your friends. That really is the true test. If any of you guys have ever played, I think one example is not a board game, but the co op game, Overcooked. I love that game so much. Oh, I love it. If you like, I was going to say screaming at your friends and becoming like Chef Gordon Ramsay in the kitchen, in a metaphorical kitchen, and chopping onions and tossing veggies, that's the game for you. It sounds chaotic, but trust me, it's such a fun co op game. Yeah, that's the vibe I'm thinking. I'm imagining here. Especially with a bunch of drunk adults, I think there are some games you should play and some games you shouldn't play. Like you should pick your audience very well. Especially I'm thinking, okay, everyone's drinking, everyone's having a good time, like giggling, hee hee ha haing. Clearly not in the mindset to listen to something complicated. Like I've heard, what are some, I guess, more instructional like strategy games? Like Catan, I think is one of them. And I'm guessing based on the description, Ticket to Ride is similar. I just wouldn't pick that game to explain to someone because then you have the expectation. I'll tell you guys this. So I had a pretty recent experience of, I would say, not so fun experience playing a game, a group game. It was the meme game. What is it called again? How do you meme? Right?
I think it's what do you mean?
Oh, what do you meme? And wait, no, it wasn't what do you meme, is it? No, it's Cards Against Humanity. I'm mixing up. Cards Against Humanity is what we played, right? And we've never played a card game with this group before or any sort of board game. And I think that was where our mistake was. Yes, people were drinking. Some people were drinking. And we were playing this game, Cards Against Humanity. Basically, the concept is there's a slogan that you put down, or each one takes turns being quote unquote judge. You put down, you pick a card, it has maybe a phrase. And it's almost like you complete the phrase, or each person kind of picks from their hand of cards. Like they pick what they think is the funniest, or what they think the group will judge as the best answer or the best complete the phrase, right? Let me tell you, playing that game when half the group has never played before or has ever heard of it, it's not good. And especially when half the group is drinking, it's so frustrating to play. Because I don't know, I'm that one person, guys, or maybe not even just the one who's like, all right, next, it's someone else's turn. Let's go. Let's not, we're waiting on this one person's turn for like 10 minutes. Like, can we just finish this dang game and get it done with, please? Because at that point, it's not fun anymore. People aren't paying attention and it's rough? And I have to say, it starts fights, guys. Crazy, like bad board game nights starts fights. So I am very surprised that they're playing a game like this. Although I've never heard of Ticket to Ride, but it sounds fun. But let's see what OP does. OP says, although that did help somewhat, they both kept arguing and spoiling the mood, enough for everybody else to tell them to stop bickering. After that, the mood was pretty terrible, but I feel like it did recover somewhat. I concentrated on learning the game and paying attention to not rile Philip more. Philip took it easier too and settled in a bit. My girlfriend was annoyed at people taking too long in their turns, rolled her eyes when they were asking for rule clarifications, or told them to look stuff up ourselves. And to be honest, she was terrible at explaining the game in general. When everybody went outside to celebrate the new year, I get into a huge argument with my girlfriend about how we're ganging up on her, how I'm not defending her, and have been ignoring her all evening by not sitting next to her. It gets pretty heated, but I tell her it's not my responsibility how people react to her behavior, and I'm not here to police her or Philip. She says she does not enjoy our humor and doesn't get the constant shooting jokes back and forth where we make fun of each other. I tell her to line up, it's a group situation and we all adapt to it and find a balance. Easier said than done, I guess. She accuses me of not sticking up for her and for only joking around with Philip and paying more attention to Philip than her. We finish the game and what I can only describe as silence, and everybody goes home. She went home instead of to my place as planned, and I'm pretty upset that New Year's was soured by this and feel there's no reason for it to have gone this way. Um, OP, one thing we can definitely agree on is it really didn't have to be this serious. I mean, what started as a really fun evening became like a whole, like, I'm just imagining as the countdown's going 5, 4, 3, 2, and everyone in your group is just pissed off in silence. Like, over a board game. I mean, okay. Besides like the occasional, I think one off bad board game nights, I don't think we've really had that often of bad experience in groups. But I think it's also attributed to the fact that people we usually play these games with, I think they lean into the group. By that, I mean, okay, people are obviously, you have a lot of different personalities usually, right? The bigger the group, the more complicated it becomes. But what ends up happening is I think as long as everyone kind of leans into it, kind of adapts to it, and kind of becomes more chill with going with the flow, things generally are fine. I mean, I have to say, we've kind of become experts. I've played, I think one of the first few times I've ever met M's friends. Um, I think we played Mafia at someone's house, and I didn't know anybody in the group, basically, besides M and his one friend. But it was like a pretty big group, like house party, maybe like 10 people or so. And even I thought it was pretty fun. Like I didn't leave it feeling off or the vibe was bad or anything like that. But also, I think people have to adapt a little bit more, unfortunately. Like you can't always go your way. OP, before you even jump to comments, I'll be honest, I think you're a bit of an a-hole. Only because you're in the position of potential mediator, right? Because it's your girlfriend who's beefing with your friend Philip. I think during the night, you could have done a little bit more than just say, oh, chill, guys. I'm not saying don't police people's behavior. It's not like that. But if your girlfriend's kind of getting into a fight with someone else or like with your friends specifically, I think you could have done a little bit more than just, play the bystander. I feel like you could have done a little bit more to help the group harmonize a little bit better, especially because it seems like based on what your girlfriend is saying, she felt alone. You didn't even sit next to her during board game night, which I'm not saying is a requirement, but come on, if she's not super familiar with the group, usually you would want to sit next to your partner. I think that kind of helps. And even, maybe just to suggest something like, let's not play this game, Ticket to Ride, since it seems like nobody else seems to be paying attention or even wanting to play. Maybe based on the behavior. You guys would have been better off playing Overcooked. I'm just saying. Better off playing Overcooked.
I doubt it.
Really? It's simpler though. There's basically only one rule. You chop, you throw things, and you serve food. That's it.
No, that game will test your friendship.
Yeah? You think so more? Probably. So my verdict so far, OP, very, very slight a-hole. What's your verdict?
I agree with what you said, but I think I'd like to add. I'd say that at least the way OP described the situation, I think the girlfriend is also a bit of a a-hole.
Oh, yeah. I
Given
agree.
that, I think as the whole group, you have a certain kind of maybe, I don't know what you call it, expectation or mood of how you approach the game. And it seems that they were not taking it that seriously, but
they also weren't
girlfriend-
like,
yeah. But the girlfriend was taking it very seriously.
Oh, yeah.
In that type of situation, I think I'd say you need to kind of match everyone else as well a little bit.
Yeah, like everyone needs to bend a little bit.
Right. Yeah, I mean, unless there was some kind of expectation that this was going to be a serious board game night where, we'll focus on the game and we'll have the competitive, I don't know, type of night. But it seems like people were just having
Goofing
fun
off,
and goofing off. Which I can see both sides of the situation, and I guess the only way you could decide this if there was maybe better explanation of what actually happened or what the expectations were.
Yeah. Because it could have been either way, right? It could have been girlfriend shows up and she's like, we have to play this game. And then she launches into explanation without regard for anyone else.
Oh, yeah. Well,
or it could have been where everyone's like, oh, let's play a game. And then they all sit down and she starts explaining. Every single time she explains, someone goofs off. And I'm like, that would be annoying too.
Yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, when someone's also learning a new game, I think you should have patience.
Yeah.
To try to teach them even. I mean, people are going to have questions and maybe ask the same questions again or ask for clarifications. On the other hand, maybe she was being patient initially, but people were just goofing off.
Yeah.
And not paying attention. So it's very hard to kind of say for sure that she was being an a-hole or not.
Yeah. I was tempted, after what you said, I was tempted to say, oh, everyone just sucks here.
Right.
But depending on the situation, it could be that, okay, maybe OP, maybe you and Philip just suck maybe, or maybe just the girlfriend sucks for pushing it on to everybody. Tentative, OP, you're slight a-hole, but I do need some more information. That's what I'll say. All right. We got some comments. First comment from Fizz Bang. Info. I'm curious who chose Ticket to Ride and why. Was your girlfriend the one who brought the game and intended to take on the role of game instructor and leader? Or was she thrown into that role by default because she was the only one who had played it before? Had everyone agreed ahead of time that they wanted to play it? Were there other choices of games available? And once folks realized how complicated it was there a discussion of pivoting to a simpler game? Because depending on those details, I can see at several different scenarios playing out here. Games need to be matched to the vibe and interest level of all participants. There is clearly a mismatch here. Determining whoever is most at fault depends on how this game night started. Ooh, I agree. This basically summarized our whole discussion just now. OP does respond. OP says, she picked the game and suggested it, but I don't think she realized it was a bad match for the night. We also didn't know that Philip was invited. That was a last minute surprise. Oh. This makes me feel like, okay, she might not have judged the crowd or the vibe correctly and chose the game, right? And being frustrated, okay, fine. I don't actually blame then Philip or the girlfriend. Then I still kind of feel like OP's slightly at fault because he's still the mediator, if that makes sense. Because it seems like girlfriend is the one who's kind of left out and isn't as connected with the rest of the group. But maybe I'm reading it wrong. There is a question from the comments. What's the deal with Philip? It seems like there's some backstory there that I'm missing. Ooh, I wonder if there's tea with Philip. Opie says, he's a nice guy who drinks a lot, not somebody who would show up for a board game. Girlfriend probably thinks he's a bad influence, but I always got along with him. Ah, okay. I see what the disconnect is. It just so happened that your girlfriend met her mortal enemy, Philip. Because think about it, if someone who really likes strategy games or board games in general, and they're going into a game night or even just a hangout night, and she suggests a game, and everyone's like, yeah, let's do it. And then last minute invite, Philip pulls up and he's like, ew, board games. I feel like you're going to have a clash because it seems like it's just a personality thing. It's just a choice and like dislike type of thing. I mean, I'm kind of teetering between OP, you're not the a-hole or you're kind of very soft a-hole. Because could you have done more to support your girlfriend here? Yes. But I also think it's just a bad group scenario by coincidence. Just bad matchup of the vibe here between girlfriend and Philip and the board game. Now, another comment from Sundazzled, not the hole. From your description, you could tell she was unhappy and did some things to intervene, but also didn't seem to take any of the load directly off by supporting her or helping to explain the rules. Even if she's the one who played before, you could be backing her up in the moment by shushing folks who are rude, grabbing a copy of the rules, being the one who repeats things when someone wasn't paying attention, etc. But she also didn't take what sounds like a hint that this crowd isn't really that into precision and focus and playing the game. It is more into just hanging out and drinking with a game present. Overall, it sounds like a mismatch of expectation. You say the other adults being drunk and rowdy was as expected, but that she got annoyed. How confident are you that she knew to expect that and was looking forward to it versus finding it all very disrespectful and disruptive? Does she usually like gaming with these friends or is it something that she's doing for you? Oh, I feel like we're kind of mind readers or, great minds think alike with the comments today. Now, OP says, we were actively engaging with the rules and telling each other to pay attention or shut up, but it must have been chaotic or overwhelming. The game was her idea and we did it before with these people, except for Philip, who was a surprise. If I knew he was coming, I would have suggested something else.
Yeah, that last part kind of bothers me.
Yeah.
I mean, when you start the game night, you're not locked into play any particular game. Like,
right?
what's stopping you from
Switch.
switching, right? Or
This
doing
is not
something
Squid
else?
Game. You can
Yeah.
quit midway.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine this group of friends, including Philip and the girlfriend, playing Squid Games? Playing red light, green light? I would. Oh, I can't. No, actually, this last response from OP makes me feel that Philip is the a-hole. And OP, you're still slight a-hole to me because, like the comments said, you could have done more. And I think the issue is your girlfriend's played with this group before, minus Philip. So she thought that she knew what to expect. But Philip clearly is throwing everyone off the game or something's going on there. I just think one new person to the group shouldn't cause such a dramatic reaction to the vibes that, oh my God, we have to play this game to the end till midnight no matter what. But then people are just not paying attention, you know? So I think you're soft a-hole for not kind of just switching or suggesting or supporting your girlfriend better, just saying, hey, babe, I feel like maybe the vibe, everyone's a little drunk. They're having a hard time focusing. Let's just switch the game. Then again, the girlfriend also didn't take the hint. And Philip didn't either. So maybe overall, everyone's got a little bit of the blame here. Maybe everyone's a little bit to blame.
I agree.
You know what? You guys should have just played Monopoly. You're shaking your head at every game I suggest. I think it would have been good. Easy. Everyone knows the rules.
Does everyone know the rules?
Unless Philip doesn't. So you guys will have to let me know. What do you think? And also, here's a bonus question for you. Have you guys watched the new season of Squid Game yet? I liked it a lot for a sequel. It was pretty good. Because this story kind of reminded me of that with board games and group game dynamics. If given the opportunity, I would like to play a few of the Squid Games. Not in like a life or unaliving matchup, But maybe it was something like the reality TV series of that Netflix pulled like a few years ago, maybe a few years ago now, I think, right? Or last year. I would join. So let me know what you think if you watch season 2. Now, our next story is from the subreddit, Am I the A-hole? Am I the a-hole for ruining my best friend's lifetime bromance? I know this is long, but please hang in there. It's got all the makings of a tragic rom-com minus the rom. Fake names alert. I, 27-year-old female, am friends with the sweetest guy ever, Logan, 31-year-old male. We met through his childhood BFF, Zach, 31-year-old male, not long after Zach tried to romance me. Zach confessed his undying love minutes into our first meeting, and I was like, let's get to know each other first, Romeo. After a few weeks, I told Zach, hey, this isn't working. You're great, but we want different things. Translation, I'm not into you. I even gave him the, quote, choose your own adventure option, to move on or to stay friends. Zach chose door number 2, friendship, but his version involved bringing up his feelings every few months like an unwanted sequel. I love the way OP is writing this. I feel your frustration, but also, yeah, this does read kind of like a rom-com without the rom. OP says, for 2 years, Zach kept trying to wear me down. He dropped the I need to talk bomb, pour his heart out, get rejected, then throw a tantrum like I'd stolen his Pokemon cards. My feelings were background noise in Zach's personal rom-com, and he was the only one who didn't realize it was a flop. Even mutual friends tried to stage an intervention, but Zach was committed to his delusion. Meanwhile, Logan and I thrived as platonic besties. He's my most beloved friend, and I'm his. I finally told him about Zach's antics, hoping he'd save me from the endless love confessions. Logan was livid, not at me per se, but at Zach for being Zach, and at me for being too nice about it. Logan initially wanted to handle it himself, but we decided I should confront Zach myself. To my surprise, Zach backed off. I'm gonna pause here for a second because you know what bothers me about some of the old school rom-coms? They don't age very well. Like the lesson to be learned sometimes is almost like some of these rom-coms, like especially the American 2000 ones, it's almost like, oh, if at first she says no, try it and try again. Like, no, if the girl says no, I don't like you, or if the guy says no, you're not my type, please close that chapter of your life and move on. Just move on. It's done. It bothers me when people don't take the hint, or maybe there's not even a hint at this point, take the very blunt rejection and they just keep on pushing their feelings on someone else. Like, I'm just like, it's just so cringy and it's so awkward. And I'm very confused. So Opie told Zach, hey, I'm not into you. Do you want to move on or stay friends? Up to you. He says, let's stay friends. And I feel like when Opie said, let's stay friends, he heard, all right, so I'm going to wait in the friend zone until there's an opportunity to strike. That's what it feels like. That is so weird. It feels like a backhanded friendship. It bothers me. You're telling me this guy kept trying for 2 whole years, like 2 calendar years. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. Oh gosh. See, OP, you said to your surprise, Zach backed off. To my surprise, Zach is backing off. I have a feeling this is some sort of, he's going to come back out of the woodwork with some like grand gesture of romance or something. OP says, fast forward a year and Zach reemerges, claiming I let him on, I wasn't honest, and disrespected his feelings. I literally said, this isn't going to work. Let's end this before feelings get hurt. Zach heard, try harder. Then Zach started treating me like trash in front of mutual friends. I was subjected to all sorts of passive-aggressive disrespect and borderline bullying, but Logan hadn't seen it firsthand. One day, Zach invites himself over while Logan and I are hanging out. Logan notices my Zach's coming over again face, and I spill the beans about Zach's behavior after he insists. Logan doesn't react yet. When Zach shows up, Logan calls it a night and escorts me out. A week later, I hear through a mutual friend that Logan exploded on Zach, potentially ruining their 28-year bromance. Zach's reaction? Fury. He insists that I came between them and calls me an outsider, like this is some weird best friend cult I infiltrated. Neither has contacted me since. One friend says it's my fault and I should have stayed away from Logan, let alone telling him about Zach. Another says it was inevitable, like Thanos, that Logan was going to notice the disrespectful behavior anyway. So, Am I the a-hole for ruining their bromance? OP, I just genuinely feel like this was a romance with two people, between two people. It was Zach and himself. It was just Zach and himself in his little Delulu world. And you just happened to be kind of caught in that tornado and pulled along. I mean, I guess the one good thing is you ended up with a really great friend, Logan. Because kudos to Logan that the minute you told him, Logan had your back and tried to help you in a very, I think, respectful way. Like he didn't try to make a scene in front of you. He just had a private talk with Zach and said, dude, that's not cool or whatever. He called him out for it. This is so, Zach is just, I'll say, a nutcase. I mean, to pursue you for years? You're telling me years. Oh, no, no. This is not like Stranger Things. He cannot be coming back for the new season. Oh, no. You know, some people are very possessive over their friends. When their friends get new friends, people don't like that. And I've noticed it. Maybe you feel isolated because you don't hang out with your friend as much. Like, I get that feeling because then you might feel lonely or you might feel like your friend is prioritizing another friendship instead of yours, instead of expanding the circle. But this doesn't seem to be the case. I mean, people can choose to be friends with whoever they want, right? Logan chose to be friends with you. I don't think there's some sort of weird rule. I mean, okay. Unless it becomes something really awkward, like, I don't know, is this bro code or friend code where say Zach dated you. Say Zach and OP dated and you had a horrible, horrible breakup where you were hurt by or Zach was hurt by you in some way. And maybe as bro code, Logan might choose to not be friends with you. I've heard of that. That kind of makes sense to me. Like you try to just distance yourself from someone who hurt your friend. But in this case, you really had no relationship with Zach other than he confessed, you said no. He confesses again, you said no. He confesses a year later, you're like, no. And he just doesn't take the hint. So it seems like it's Zach's problem. I don't think you're the a-hole. I don't think you ruined any bromance. If anything, the only romance you ruined was the delusional one that Zach had with himself. What's your verdict?
I don't know. To me, once again, I would need to hear the perspective of either Zach or I guess Logan. Because the way the OP wrote the story, right before you basically read the part where Zach claimed that the OP has
Let him
led him
on,
on.
yeah.
I was gonna say that. Is OP leading him on? It's just
I don't think so.
it's a very strange
I mean, OP literally
situation.
said point blank, no, multiple times. How much clearer does it have to be?
Right.
So I'm like,
Why would you then continue to have some sort of relationship with
well, she
Zach?
gave him a choice. She said, we could just be strangers again, or if you prefer, let's just be friends. And some people choose to be friends despite that.
I don't understand that part. That's just you're asking for weird
Oh,
things.
you're blaming OP now?
I'm not necessarily blaming OP, but that to me just like if someone is like I guess
So you think it's
obsessed with
kind of
you,
like,
kind of like Zach was, or why would you want to stay friends with him? And it seems that Zach was kind of making advances every once in a while, and you're still trying to stay
I
friends.
see what
Like,
you're saying.
why are you trying to stay friends with him?
I think some people are just like, I don't want to say doormat, but some people want to quote unquote keep the peace or they don't like to have confrontations about these things or have a clean cut
Right,
of
but
friendship.
do they have mutual friends? What's the
Well,
deal
Logan's
here?
a mutual friend.
So Logan
So-
is the only mutual friend here.
Oh, that's mentioned here? Yeah. But Logan is also the childhood best friend of Zach. But Logan and OP are like BFFs right now.
How did that happen?
I think they're mutual friends. Like she met Logan through Zach, but now she and Logan are close friends. It happens where you meet people individually, yeah. I don't think that it's OP's fault per se, but I will say that this drama could have been avoided, OP, if you saved yourself the drama earlier and just never saw or communicate with Zach anymore.
Yeah, and just a side note, I'm not blaming OP for any of the actions.
Right,
that
right. Because
Zach
Zach is
did.
just on his own,
Yeah, that's
living in his own world.
yeah. So
I can see why Logan got mad at OP though. Because Logan was mad that OP was too nice about it. And I agree. I wouldn't have called it being too nice. I think it's more like being a doormat.
yeah, I can't put my finger on it, but there's something off about the OP here.
You think so? I mean, she did
For
stay in contact with someone who tried and tried again every few months and weeks. So
I don't know. Just my feeling, just my gut feeling. Even the way that the story was written, I don't know. So something's off here. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it
yeah,
right now, but I don't know. It's
I don't
just
know. I don't think anything's like off with OT. I just think it's almost like because I've seen a situation a lot where, particularly girls or guys, even who have people in their circle who they're not really close with or they really don't like, but they're friends with other people in the same circle and they just try to avoid them or they don't say anything. But they never cut them off. So then they always have the same drama with the same person over and over. So it kind of annoys me because I'm relating from the stance of, oh man, I've seen this in like group friendships. It's rough.
yeah.
OP, you're not the a-hole for ruining the so-called lifetime bromance at all. But I think you're being a little bit of an a-hole to yourself because you're not sticking up for yourself and you're not setting the boundaries better. Because I know you said no, and I wish Zach was the type to respect it. But with people like that, when they don't take no as an answer, you gotta just distance yourself. Like no contact. You gotta go, nope, not answering that call, not hanging out in the same places. Just look, if Zach's gonna be here, I'm gonna dip. I'm good. You know? It's just you just gotta protect your own peace. Because Zach seems determined to make it out of this friend zone in his own mind. Have you seen guys like that? Guys who are just like, it's okay. She said no now, but someday I'll crawl my way out of that friend zone.
I mean, I've seen it on movies and TV shows. That's a common kind of, at least used to be a TV series or movie trope,
It still is a trope, to be honest.
right?
Except in the movies, they always get the girl, which bothers me to no end. Let's look at the comments. First comment, not they. Wow, Logan's a great friend. I know plenty of people who would back away from confronting their best friend about shitty behavior, but he really stepped up for you. I think Logan will be back in touch with you once he gets his house in order, so to speak. But you're not in the wrong at all for any of this. You've been clear about your boundaries and your feelings or lack thereof, and Zach just plain refused to get the message and got nastier and more insistent about it. That's on him. And since Logan's a good man who doesn't stand for that stuff, he's rightly called Zach out for his behavior. Zach ruined his own friendship and it's not on you at all. I would definitely reach out to Logan, check in, see how he's doing. Maybe invite him out for coffee or something. Because I imagine he's feeling pretty low about losing a friend and is feeling a bit awkward about getting back in touch with you after that. Just needs a push. Now, OP responds, Logan's genuinely great. I couldn't pass on the opportunity to be friends with him, even though I was afraid it would tangle my relationship with Zach more. It obviously did, but I have no regrets. Thank you so much. Another comment from Squiffy. Not the a-hole. Zach sounds like the typical nice guy who can't take no for an answer and then gets bitter when his attempts at manipulation don't work. And like a typical nice guy, Zach is now facing the consequences of his actions and he still refuses to own them. You didn't come between them. Zach let his little unrequited crush build up into something that made him show his true colors. Logan's called him out on his behavior, but Zach is still dodging responsibility, trying to blame you for telling Logan when it was his choice to behave like that in the first place. If the friendship is over after 28 years, it's purely because Zach allowed his crush on you to turn him into a nasty person, and Logan doesn't like this version of Zach. Opie responds, up until his recent behavior, Zach remained nice, but he indeed has an ego bigger than his forehead and would dodge responsibility like crazy. Haha. Logan did say he doesn't recognize this version of Zach. I like what Opie said. It's so funny. He indeed has an ego bigger than his forehead. That's so funny. Well, you know what, Opie? On the bright side, I feel like this could be seen as a good thing. Now that your bestie Logan is aware that Zach is being completely out of line with you, he'll kind of be tactful about when you guys hang out. He'll probably be kind of like a mini barrier in a sense of if you guys are hanging out, he's less likely to just randomly invite Zach over anymore, right? Because before he didn't really know what was going on between you and Zach. So at least you got a good friend out of this.
Yeah, I just have a very hard time relating to the whole we can be friends.
Oh, like after someone like professes their undying love for you.
Yeah, if you don't have interest in someone like that, right?
Yeah.
And I guess you met on the premises of potentially dating.
Mm-hmm.
it just I think it's overall it's a bad idea to continue to have some sort of relationship, which some people might disagree on.
Yeah, it might work for some
Yeah, yeah,
people.
and that's completely fine. But from at least what I'm thinking is just like, why?
Mm.
It makes no sense. Like most likely, nothing good is gonna come out of that.
Overall, I'll say, OP, you're not the a-hole. Just be better to yourself and go low contact or no contact with these guys, please. Our last story is from the subreddit, Am I Overreacting? Am I overreacting after I found out my boyfriend's online friend group I became part of 2 years ago has been just him the whole time? You know, there is a solution. If you feel like you can't be friends with people, you can just have no friends. And I guess this might be the answer that Opie and Opie's boyfriend chose here. But let's see. Opie says, I guess I should have been less oblivious, but since a little before we started dating in 2022, I was added to my boyfriend's, just a friend at the time, 3-person Instagram group chat with what he explained were some of his closest online friends. 2 other accounts seemed like real people because they had real followers and comments on their posts and drastically different aesthetics and looks to them. We eventually made a Discord server for us, and that alone was convincing enough, since multiple times we'd all be active at the same time. We never voice chatted, but I used to never voice chat either, so I didn't think twice. The group got closer, though, as more and more time passed, since I was first to be added to the group chat. And last month, we got together and planned a research trip to Hawaii for August. We live on the East Coast of the US. Like, we booked everything. So imagine my surprise when I'm over at his house tonight and his computer's open and I just want to log into my Google Docs when I accidentally stumbled across, first of all, a follower bot sites and also him logged in and chatting with me as one of the individuals I thought I'd become close with. And I just got the sinking feeling. I didn't jump to the idea that they could be fake either. I was like, maybe he just has their login since they're all so close and is way too interested in their messages. But then I noticed their only chats were the group chats, and the server, and the real kicker was the email address it was signed up under was his backup email with his full name. I quite literally snooped until he got out of the shower and caught me, which I'm not saying was right of me, but I couldn't help myself. During my snooping, I gradually became devastatingly confident that he wasn't behind just one, but both accounts. I've never seen his face so red, and he just absolutely panicked and started shouting at me to get out of his business. I couldn't even form the right words to say to him. And then I just walked out of his apartment sobbing. It's very early in the morning. I get that, but the screenshot is what he has to say, and I'm starting to feel crazy. Am I overreacting about my discovery? Okay, so we have a screenshot of their conversation after. So we do have an update. But first off, I'm kicking myself for not choosing this as the wild story for you guys of the episode. I feel like this is a bonus wild story because when you hear stories of people snooping on their partner's computers, generally people never find anything good. Nothing good ever comes out of these true stories from the internet, right? I'm expecting, oh, does he have a secret OnlyFans? Is he liking other girls', I don't know, photos on the internet? Like, what's the big deal? Is he like secretly stalking your best friend's account? Like, a million things are running through my mind. Never have I ever seen a story or heard of anybody who made up a whole friend group and then invited their girlfriend into it to make it seem like they have friends. Part of me wants to laugh and part of me wants to cry. And then part of me is just mortified for you. I'll be honest, I feel like this is a breakupable offense. Now, okay, this sounds really bad and really harsh because you just found out the guy has no friends and now you're going to break up with him. So now he has no girlfriend either. But hear me out. This guy is a liar and he fabricated a whole group, like cast. He fabricated a whole cast member for years. And then he would converse with you and somehow also converse from his own account, make it seem like you guys were in a constant active 4-person chat when it was just you and him. Come on, that is some scary, bizarre behavior. Well, say I all of a sudden, like, you found this out about me that there's 2 friends I have, and I'm like, oh, let me introduce you. And they just don't exist. And I made this whole thing up, including their backstories. What's your first thought?
I think there's maybe some mental disorder that you're suffering from, or
I
something
mean, yeah.
going on at this point. Like, I guess initially I was, yeah, maybe was gonna find it funny, but it's the more I heard, it's just,
Disturbing?
yeah, this is not just a quirky behavior or something weird that someone would do. This is like, I would think that this is something else altogether. Like, no normal or even slightly, abnormal person would kind of do this type of thing, I would think. I've never heard of this before. Like, this is something else.
Oh, you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the show Catfish. Do you remember what that show is?
Yeah, but this is just another kind of
Well,
take on it. Like, why would
yeah.
you, what's your thinking here? There's something going on here.
Oh, I
I
agree
guess
with
I
you.
want to hear what the comments say. Maybe some people are more of experts about people's like
Yeah,
personalities,
like
and
the psyche behind it or
why would
something.
someone do this?
Yeah, we can check the comments. Oh, before we check the comments, I know I just mentioned catfish if you guys aren't familiar. So, because I'm not sure if it's like a more coined in America term or if it's a universally known term, but there's a show Catfish, and basically the premise of Catfish is someone pretends to be someone else. Like, say you're on a dating app or something like that, and you chat with this guy, and it turns out this guy didn't exist in the first place, or the photos are stolen from someone else, and it's some other person who's pretending to be that guy talking to you. So you just got catfish. So it's that concept. So there's a whole show about it out there where some people are in relationships for 10 years with someone. They've never seen them. They've spoken on the phone, but they've never actually video chat or anything. And then basically the show organizes like real life meetups for them. Only for most, like 100% so far of the cases that are shown on the show, they're catfishes. Like they're just completely random people who pretend to be someone and then romance someone like far, far away, long distance
Or
for years.
or sometimes it's their like best friend or someone like that.
Yeah, sometimes they're their best friend. It's creepy. First off, OP, to answer your question, quick verdict. You are not overreacting. If anything, I think you are severely underreacting. Like, I don't think it's enough to just leave. I think you need to, you know, actually leave the relationship because I'm concerned for you. Now, first comment. Yeah, this is not okay. I'm blown away that this is actually real because what? How could someone do that to you, your partner of all people? And like, was he ever planning on telling you or just letting it ride out? What does he gain from this? So many things running through my mind, but the most disgusting factor is how he responds to it. And it honestly sounds so manipulative and like he's deflecting instead of owning up to his actions. I'm sorry that you're going through this. Oh, speaking of his response, we do have the update. So let me actually read the update. It's actually it's a conversation screenshot between OP and her boyfriend question mark, right after. She says, I just want to know why. When it finally came time for the Hawaii trip, how are you going to explain that? What were you thinking? He says, you know something I've noticed about you? You can never just be calm. And there always has to be an issue. I know you were raised in a volatile environment and still have to relearn a lot about healthy relationship dynamics, but it's like you thrive on chaos only. And we were going to see Wicked tonight. Psst, I guess there that goes. OP says, you can't be serious. I deserve answers. I'm honestly so creeped out. Basically, half my life for the past 2 years has been a complete and total lie, and you are behind all of it. Boyfriend says, okay, don't be dramatic. You know this isn't a big deal. You're just giddy to harp on this and make it a bigger issue. Um, I'm speechless. Uh where exactly does one begin? Um, first off, I forgot that you guys planned a whole Hawaii group trip. Now, what was the thinking? I agree with you, OP. The biggest question is come time for the Hawaii trip. You guys have everything booked. Was he going to make up some excuse on why half the group can't make it to the trip all of a sudden? Like maybe, oops, I have stomach poisoning, or no, wait, stomach poisoning, food poisoning, or I have surgery, or sorry, can't make it to the flight anymore. Was he going to pull that? Or were you guys going to vacation together, but then the other two would just hang out by themselves and only virtually communicate with you during the trip? Like, what was the plan? This is so crazy. So not only did he make this up, keep this act up for 2 years, by the way, But he also played a group trip. Oh, OP. You know what pisses me off? I bet usually for group trips, people vote by majority on where you stay or like what attractions you go to. I bet you were outvoted every single time. You wanted to like, I don't know, go to a shopping area and like somehow the other three wanted to, I don't know, go parasailing or something instead. Guess where we went? Oh, I guess we're all going parasailing. You're just outvoted every single time. Oh, I'm pissed for you.
See, that's the only reason I can think of OP doing it. Like,
He did this because he was playing
yeah,
ahead for
like
their
what
Hawaii
else would
trip.
be the benefit?
I don't know. Was he lonely? But then he's only talking to himself or to her.
Yeah, either this whole story is fake or the OP's.
There's screenshots.
I'm assuming well. That's,
I mean, the screenshots could be fake, but I'm
Yeah.
kind of convinced. Like the wackier, okay, the logic is the crazier the story is, usually the more realistic it is for me. Because why? Like there are better made up cheating stories, or like not cheating stories, but like made up fake stories, in my opinion.
right, but at this point, this is beyond just weird or like
Hey,
there
there's
has to be.
honey, there's a whole show with multiple seasons of people catfishing, pretending to be other people for decades even. And you think this is bizarre?
Well, in that regard, at least I can see what the benefit is, why they're more or less doing it.
What do you think the benefit is for that?
For people who catfish?
Yeah.
It's just they want some kind of relationship with that person that they can have, or they want to have conversations, etc. But here, they're in a relationship, so
Yeah,
why
but
have
maybe
2 more relationships with the same person?
yes, maybe in his mind he's like, "Oh, I love my relationship so much with this person. Let me triple it. Let me
Yeah,
three
yeah.
times it right now."
Hence why I'm saying there has to be some kind of mental disorder or something going on here to attempt
Yeah.
to explain this. Like, I hope there's something like that
I
in
mean,
the
one can
comments.
hope. But you know what makes me laugh? OP asked a very valid question like, how are you going to explain this when we went to Hawaii? His response is, you just have to always make a big deal out of everything.
Yeah, and I think that's another sign where it's basically like another show. I guess people might have heard this. For example, hoarders and why people are hoarding and
Oh, like hoarding a lot of stuff. Like it's
I guess similar
lot of it's
idea where
psychological.
people like most hoarders don't even admit that they are doing it, and you can just literally see around them like house full of just trash.
So you think he's kind of trying to like downplay, or he's not even acknowledging the problem?
Could be both or either
Yeah.
one.
I love how at the very end he threatens her with Wicked, and we were gonna watch Wicked tonight, but there goes that. Oh no, there goes that, because clearly that's like the big like, oh, you were gonna get to see Wicked, but now forget about it. That's so funny to me. This is so embarrassing. And Opie, I hope your boyfriend, or honestly, hopefully ex-boyfriend, gets, if he wants the help that he needs, that he so very clearly needs, because I am dead. I'm dead that this is a reaction. I honestly thought he was gonna go the apology route of, I'm so sorry. It started as a joke. It got out of hand. Like, so sorry. Something like that. No, he went, see? Oh, and you know what's really rich? He said, you still have a lot to relearn about healthy relationship dynamics. Excuse me? You're about to become OP's next trauma. Oh my God.
Yeah, the way you're reading this is almost like this person is like completely sane. I don't even think that this person like it's either the story is completely fake or this person really suffers from something, because it's just
I
not
hope the story's fake for
Yeah.
OP's sake. I really, really hope it's fake. But we've seen it all at this point, that I know at least somewhere, even if this one's fake, you know someone's going through it in a very similar scenario somewhere out there. Now let's see what the comment says. I don't see any responses from OP, unfortunately. So no responses directly from OP yet. But we got another comment. Another comment from Anne. The why is my biggest question here. Pathological liars, though. There's typically no real or logical reason. Okay. I mean, that's true. As hard as to admit, sometimes there is no reason why some people do these things. Because I really want to understand the why it happens, and it bothers me.
Right, but I guess in this particular case, the why is someone is a pathological liar. That it itself would be an explanation for me, I guess. If someone is like, I don't know what that condition or what that mental condition is
Yeah, I don't know.
exactly. Like, I guess, yeah, then people could come up with things or do things and just have no logical reason behind it.
That bothers me. That bothers me so much. Like, I'm that person who's like, okay, but why? So the fact that sometimes the why, like, maybe there is no answer. Now we do have a comment in response to this. Very appropriately named Psychologist War. Commenter says, I just want to point out that this level of premeditate and targeted manipulation, complete with a textbook example of gaslighting when discovered by the target, is an extremely concerning behavior. If this is indeed real, then OP should be very concerned for their own safety and put as much distance as possible between themselves and this individual. Even if it isn't real, anyone who experiences anything like that, like this, should take it seriously and proceed with caution. Very similar situations to what was described in this post have ended tragically for the targeted individual. The kind of people that do this kind of thing are unhinged, but not stupid, and that makes them very dangerous. Oh, that's kind of scary. And even scary, we got some comments replying to this saying, it immediately made me wonder if it's a tactic to cut her off from everyone else in her life while maintaining the illusion that she has her friends still. Yikes. I mean, that kind of took a, I think, creepy, darker turn, but you're right. It is dangerous. I do sense of, if this is real, I do get the sense of danger from this.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, all jokes aside, I mean, I'm trying to be lighthearted because it scares me. But OP, perhaps this is a time to run, run away from this person and this relationship, because there really is no, I think, reasonable explanation that would give you, I guess, a reason to stay, to be completely honest, right? Because let's play out all the scenarios. One, it was a joke that went too far for 2 years. I mean, okay, he's just a jerk at that point, a crazy jerk, but just a jerk. The second scenario is he has some other underlying conditions, and I don't think you're equipped to handle it, to be honest. So the door is the way to go. And third, if this was all kind of premeditated, he was some sort of mastermind, he wants to manipulate you into isolating you in your relationship so that it's all him or something like that. That's even worse. No matter how you kind of slice or dice it, girl, you gotta run. I am scared for you. I'm freaked out. Oh, I'm getting like chills. Like, this is almost like a creepy episode. Regardless, I mean, those were my advice to OP. Basically, just run. But if you guys have any insight into this type of thinking or psyche or this behavior, even, let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed today's episode so far, let me know if I should do more stories like this or other topics you'd like to hear. And don't forget to like this episode and hit subscribe, guys. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. P.S. If you're listening to me on Spotify, don't forget to rate this one 5 stars. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.